research doesn't deal with miracles. Research deals with facts. So when the Human Performance Laboratory of the University of Calgary started the studies, the first questions we wanted to answer is, what is the function, the biological and biomechanical function of that MBT shoe? So we try to find really what's going on. Is that all just some stories, or are these real facts? Now, the results of that study of the Human Performance Laboratory were rather impressive. They showed that this shoe, this MBT product, does something that is completely different to a normal shoe. It showed that the muscles act differently, and it showed that the muscles are strengthened, which explains a lot of the results that we have anecdotally. The most important findings of our research, as a matter of fact, there are quite a few, but the most important ones are, first of all, this shoe produces a different movement. It produces a different muscle activity. And if I take those two first points together, the interesting thing is that when you stand, the muscle activity increases. And when the muscle activity increases, that means you have a training effect. So the MBT is like a piece of training equipment. The next thing that we found was that the balance abilities of those people wearing the MBT shoe after 3 or 6 weeks were increased, so people could balance better because the increased muscle activity increased the muscle strength, which means the MBT shoe is a training equipment for the muscles. And probably the most important thing is that after 6 weeks, the pain, the subjective pain that people have reported went down by about 30%. So people after 6 weeks using, in the average, had less pain. Now some people were there that the shoe did not have an effect, but other people the shoe had more than 30% effect. Or in general, it reduces pain in the first about 6 weeks, and then it keeps it constant on that level, which of course is in agreement with the anecdotal comments that people make that this shoe helps them with knee pain and reduces knee pain. Footwear is the interface between the ground and the body. And whatever I do with footwear, I influence how the body reacts. And specifically, I influence dramatically the way the muscles react. We have in some cases differences in muscle activity which are up to 80 to 100%. Now if you have suddenly 80% more muscle activity, the effect on your body must be dramatic. So the main thing is that footwear affects the muscle activity in your body, and the muscle activity affects the strength you have and the forces in the joint. Because, and that's very important, the forces in the joint are influenced by A, the body weight, and B, the co-contraction of the muscles. In the normal situation, the co-contraction is about 60 to 80%, and the body weight is only 20 to 40%. So if I change the muscle activity, I have an incredible potential to have an effect on the forces in the joint and therefore the pain in the joint. Normal footwear is basically built on the concept or the paradigm to stabilize the human gait or the posture. And when you stabilize, that means you provide with the shoe some helps that you don't have to stabilize yourself with the muscle. That means that those muscles will be less used. And less using a muscle means less training a muscle. Therefore, these muscles will be less trained. And the muscle strength will be reduced. And as a matter of fact, most people in their feet have a lot of muscles that they barely use. So these muscles are very weak. And if we suddenly have to balance ourselves with the muscles, we don't have the muscle strength. The MBT is a completely different concept. It's a concept to be unstable. The sole is round. You have constantly to balance yourself. And because you have constantly to balance yourself, especially when you stand, you train your muscles. It's basically like a wobble board. You are the whole day on a wobble board, which is a great training. Every skier knows that. A wobble board is a fantastic training. As a matter of fact, we have done a study with young kids in soccer, and we had the result that these young kids, those that trained with the wobble board, had significantly less injuries in soccer than those that didn't. So here you have an instrument, which is that MBT shoe, that does exactly the same thing, except that you don't have to go to a gym. You have it every day on your feet. And what it does, it strengthens your muscles. And because the muscles are stronger, your co-contraction in the joint will be reduced, which again means the forces in the joint are smaller, which has an effect, hopefully, on the pain that you have. And as we have seen, the pain is reduced in the average by 30% after 6 weeks. So it's the concept of the instability which really helps to make this product a very unique product, because this is not on the market at the moment. And no company would sell, no traditional company would sell a shoe that is unstable. But here we have it, and it's very beneficial.